To do that, we're going to talk about Fred right here. And Fred decides that he's hungry, so he's going to eat this apple. And apples have a lot of things that you need, nutrients and stuff. But what we're going to be concerned about is something called carbohydrates or carbs, because these break down in the body to form glucose, which your cells use to make ATP, which is the energy that they need to function. This process happens because of digestion. So digestion starts as soon as Fred puts the apple in his mouth. It starts with your salivary glands producing saliva to start the breakdown of the food. And then it moves down your esophagus and into your stomach and your intestines. So the stomach and the intestines are responsible for the bulk of digestion. They take the water out, they take the nutrients out, they break down the food so that it can enter your bloodstream. So the breakdown happens, and then this is the point at which glucose enters your bloodstream. When the process of digestion is happening and the glucose starts to enter the cell, your pancreas, which is this organ right here, this is your pancreas, is signaled to release insulin, which is a hormone that helps glucose get into the cell. So these cells right here are called beta cells, and they're the specific cells in the pancreas that produce this hormone, insulin, which we're representing with these triangles. So this slide shows your bloodstream. So inside these black lines is your bloodstream. So these black circles represent the glucose that's in your bloodstream, and these triangles represent the insulin that's in your blood. And these green circles are going to represent cells that are waiting to get the insulin that they need to function. So this represents a cell, and this is the process of how glucose enters the cell. So as you can see, right here is the cell surface, and this would be inside the cell. And out here, there are glucose molecules, and there are insulin molecules everywhere. So this right here is called an insulin receptor. And as you can tell, this is in the perfect shape of these insulin molecules. So they're going to come and they're going to bind to this receptor site, which will allow these things, which are called glucose channels, to open up. So once the insulin binds to the receptor, the glucose channel will open and allow these glucose to come and enter the cell. And then we're going to have glucose inside the cell. And this process is called facilitated diffusion, because as you can tell, the glucose is not able to enter the cell without this insulin present. And once the glucose is in the cell, it is able to make ATP, or the cell is able to make ATP, which is then used for energy and everyday functions of the cell. So at this point, you may be asking, why is that important? Who cares about insulin and how it's made and used in the cell? Well, diabetes, there are two main types of diabetes. In type 1 diabetes, the body is no longer able to produce insulin. So it's an autoimmune process which causes your body to attack the pancreas so that it doesn't produce any more insulin. And as you can tell, this would be problematic because if the sugar can't get in the cell can't function, and your blood sugar in the bloodstream will be very high. So this is treated with insulin. Usually people with type 1 diabetes take insulin injections or through an insulin pump. There are various ways, and that helps lower the blood sugar and let the glucose into the cell. And this is much more rare than type 2 diabetes. This only has 5 to 10% of people that have it. And type 2 diabetes, on the other hand, is when the body becomes resistant to insulin. So the pancreas is still making the insulin, but the insulin is no longer able to correctly bind to the surface and allow the glucose into the cell. So again, the blood sugar rises. And this can be treated with different medications, diet, exercise, or even insulin. And this is much more common. 90 to 95% of people that have diabetes have type 2.